Damn!
So we're back in class again, guys. How you guys feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling so good. I can't wait to learn more. I'm ready.
Well,
I'm
do I
ready.
have just a fun fact? You're actually going to learn more today because we're going to be talking about the future of Deltarune in its entirety. Mostly, we're going to be talking about Chapter 5 and everything we know about it so far and all the information we can glean from it, as well as some predictions. No way.
What the hell? That actually scared me, bro.
Get out of here! No! Alright, enough messing around.
No.
So yeah, in this presentation we're going to be talking about mainly about Chapter 5, like everything we know about it so far, making predictions, theories, what's going on with that, and also just talk about in broadly the future of Deltarune, like the future chapters. There's obviously less to talk about there, but and we'll get to it, but again, our main focus is Chapter 5 of Deltarune.
I just realized the top right picture.
So, the votes are in. So, if you guys didn't know, for this next video, I asked on the YouTube, I made a poll on what you guys would want to see next, whether it be a Chapter 5 video or a video talking about Image Friend. And as you can see, by a little bit of a margin, Friend won the vote on YouTube for the next video we're going to do. But again, that was a popular vote, but the Electoral College, aka the Patreon, voted heavily in favor of Chapter 5. Again, it was like, I think 9-1.
Yeah, 9-1.
So, yeah, so we decided, this wasn't actually for deciding which one we're going to do first either way, but, you know, obviously it weighed into it. And, hey, if you want more influence on the next videos you want to do, our Patreon is in the description. But yeah, we're talking about Chapter 5 now. So let's just talk about, like, the very, very basics of what we got from Chapters 3 and 4 about Chapter 5. So, we know that there was a lot of dialogue with a lot of imagery related to like gardens or like gardening, flowers, all that stuff. The main thing that's very explicit we get is from Gerson, where when he's recounting Lord of the Hammer, his book, which is based off of the prophecy, he discusses 4 chapters in a row, which basically describe each chapter of Deltarune so far. And then he starts talking about Chapter 5, where he says, "The field of pink and gold. The vast garden is charred in an inferno of jealousy." So again, this is more allusions to this sort of, again, like garden, field of pink and gold. Pink and gold obviously has some weird connotations because we know that has stuff to do with the general concept of like freedom and also friend and stuff like that. And also the background changes to be pink and gold during the Gerson fight here. And Inferno, charred in jealousy, we're going to get to that line a little bit more later. But also, we have the Forgotten Man, the Eggman. He mentions, again, he talks about all the different eggs he's placed so far. Again, like, oh, he leaves the egg on the windowsill to cool, which is Chapter 4. And it's like, oh, I leave it by the bakery or whatever from Chapter 1. And he says, on Sunday, I harvest the wheat. And we know that Chapter 5 is going to take place on a Sunday. So that means that the Chapter 4 egg has something to do with him harvesting the wheat. Which, again, just is another allusion to, like, a garden. And then also, we have this combined with something else. Make it seem like heavily likely that the next chapter is going to be in Flower King, aka Asgore's shop, especially considering we find this prophecy image in Chapter 4, which is the Flower Man trapped in asylum. Where we can see Asgore with a flower here. Also notable that he has a crown here when he... I feel like it's easy to overlook this because, oh, that's just Asgore. But Asgore obviously doesn't have that in Deltarune because, you know, he's not the king of the underground there. He's homeless.
He's my king.
But, yeah, so we know that the Flower Man is trapped in asylum, again, plus the jealousy, plus the field of pink and gold. This all paints a pretty clear picture that, yeah, Flower King, or at least something related to Asgore, but I can't imagine being anything other than Flower King, is going to be the next Dark World, again, Asgore's flower shop. And then we also know, from these prophecy images we have here, we have several images here that is Church Prophecy _Boss. So, Prophecy Boss 1 is the Queen's Chariot cannot be stopped, which is obviously referring to Queen, which is, you know, a main chapter boss. And then Prophecy Boss 2 is Lord of the Screens cleaved by, like, Black Knife or whatever, which is obviously Tenna. So these prophecy bosses are describing the main bosses for chapters 2 and 3, and then we don't get one for 4. But then Prophecy Boss 3 is the Asgore prophecy, the Flower Man trapped in asylum. So this means, I think it's fairly likely, or it's at least easy to assume, that Asgore might be the main boss of Chapter 5, which is kind of crazy. And again, yeah, obviously I think Field of Pink and Gold, again, as we're trying to achieve freedom in some way, that seems pretty likely. Again, the same thing, Inferno, charred in jealousy, probably has something to do with the whole, you know, Sans befriending our mom and whatnot.
That fucker.
Yeah, be nice.
Sorry. Anthony, why did I get a welcome back to the channel?
Fuck you.
Boo hoo hoo. Okay, everybody was crying about you not being here. Don't.
Yeah, it was very fun. He literally said you're not allowed on the channel until further notice.
Well, if you would have watched the last video, you would know after we called you, you were like, I like the cut of his jib. Let's put him back on the channel. But no, you don't watch videos. You're not in because you're
Wait.
self-absorbed.
Super narcissist.
Wait, I forgot.
Oh. Hey, I have a question.
You have a question?
Hey, what if all of these are red herrings?
Oh!
All flower men are trapped in the side.
You talking about me?
I don't think they're red herrings.
Really?
I'll say that much.
Green herrings.
Yeah, that's all the basics of Chapter 5. I think this is something that, if you're just playing the chapters, you kind of get that. It's like, oh yeah, Chapter 5's Flower King. That's crazy. But there's more to talk about. So this has more less to do with Chapter 5 specifically, more so Asgore's motives and what's going on with him. Again, so this is Asgore and the Knight. Now, I think it is pretty safe to assume that Asgore is seemingly working with the Knight gang conspiracy people in some capacity, you know?
The evil ass fountain makers.
Yeah, the evil ass fountain makers. I guess we could, okay, actually, because this dialogue is pretty easy to miss, we're just going to look at it real quick, go over it, because it's pretty important, because this is all the Asgore content we get in the next chapters. That is probably, it's here to set up the next chapter, since we know that Asgore's probably important.
It's a red herring.
Yeah.
It's probably a red herring.
It's a blue herring.
So yeah, dum-de-dum-dum.
This guy's foxy.
Few cleaning up, sure, works up an appetite.
God, yeah, what the hell? That's scary, bro.
No, not now. I can't afford to take a break.
This is like scary, bro.
I don't know why it's doing it. Is it the HDMI? Now more than ever, I need to concentrate. To settle this once and for all. I've got to look again. Okay, so that one...
Oh my god, it restarted. Dude, this is
Pasta, bro. Yo, that's too scary, bro.
I typed Gasser onto the keyboard. Okay, so that dialogue is, I feel like, pretty easy to spot as long as you're looking around. But this one, I think we actually missed on our first playthrough. So let's go through this dialogue. We're almost there, aren't we, old friend? This time for sure, Tori will finally see what really happened. That I just wanted to protect everyone. Maybe write notes. And this time, she'll have to believe me. They all will. We'll all be a happy family again, won't we? It sure is beautiful, isn't it? This black shard.
Oh my god.
And I think that's pretty much everything we need to see here. So yeah, that's the whole scene. Let's break some of that down. Okay, so him looking at the corkboard in Carol's room, alongside him having, it's not here, but he has his own corkboard. We know that's in the basement of Flower King. Means that he's likely at least in on the conspiracy in some way. Maybe more on his own compared to working with like Carol and the Knight specifically, because it seems like he's kind of being led on a little bit. Like he knows some stuff, but he's not like fully in on it.
He's not in the group chat.
I think also he's seemingly looking in on his own with like his own like corkboard and stuff like that. It seems pretty likely that he's aware of Dark World, considering he knows the Black Shard. He seems to know what happened about some nebulous thing. Probably Des. He either has a shadow crystal or a black shard. Again, he says, look at that black shard, which I know a lot of people assumed to be a shadow crystal when we first saw it. But now that we know that the weapon that is cut off of the black knife, the knight's weapon, is called the black shard, I think it's more likely he's looking like at that, opposed to the shadow crystal, which we know are pretty much completely like opaque, like you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I've seen this also posited, which I think does kind of make sense, is that the black shard he's referring to is he's looking at Carol's katana, and referring to that as the black shard, since it's we see here, it's a black sword. And again, Asgore says in the bathroom, like, oh, I need to go look at it again. And then it goes into this room and it's talking about, oh, how beautiful the black shard. So I think maybe that's the black shard. I'm not entirely sure, though. Seemingly, this has more allusions to whatever's going on with Asgore that, got him taken off the force. Like, what got him taken off the force, like, what got him divorced with Torio. And I think this all kind of culminates together. It's like, what happened with Des? Is whatever this thing Asgore's referring to is like, oh, I'll make them all see what really happened. And again, that's potentially why he's making a Dark World in the next chapter, assumedly in Flower King, is he's going to make them all see what really happened. Again, probably about Des. And we also know that Asgore, after leaving the holiday house, says that he's expecting record sales at his store because of the festival that we know is happening the same day. So maybe the plan is what he means by record sales, is that he's going to make a Dark World in Flower King, and then that way it's going to lure as many people into the Dark World as possible, so we can prove like, hey, look, this is real. And like this has something to do with whatever happened to Des. And I think also, again, real quick, going back to Black Shard, I think it's also possible that maybe Asgore interacted with it and fought the Knight, and that's how he has his own Black Shard, maybe. Again, I think I'm more so leaning on the Black Shard being Carol's katana in her room. I feel like that kind of makes sense. Okay, so that's Asgore and the Knight. So now, before we even talk about what's going to be in the Dark World, let's talk about how we're getting into it. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this, but it's weird. Like, where exactly we're going to be getting into Flower King and where the Dark World's going to be. Because we know that the front of Flower King does not have a double door. It's a single door. So yeah, we know that the front of Flower King has a single door, which we know that all the Dark Worlds so far have been double doors. And if we're going to assumably enter through here into the Dark World, it's only a single door. And okay, the next thing I want to bring up is I want you guys to look real close at these stairs here. And I want to ask you, are these stairs going up or down?
I say they're going up.
I think they're going up. Yeah. Right.
Well, we already know they're going down, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I don't think we do know is a thing. Ooh. I feel like it looks like it's going up, but I think all reason states that I think it's supposed to be going down because based on stuff we're gonna find out later. So we know that again, this leads into whatever this area is, which again I could see being an attic, but also seems like it's a basement because there's doors over here, which assumingly would lead to just the open air if it was an attic. And then we also know that in the basement here, it does have double doors. And these double doors were made double doors in an update, which is similar to what happened to the library, rather. In the computer room. It had the single door in Chapter 1, and then in Chapter 2, it updated to have double doors, which obviously the chapter would go into Chapter 2. Oh. So, I think there's a reason to believe maybe the Dark World will be behind these doors, which would mean that the rest of like these and these maybe won't be in it, but I think that's kind of unlikely. I think maybe this could be like a locked room later in the Dark World, but I think it's interesting that they changed this to specifically have double doors. And I think also it's highly likely that whatever's past these doors will lead to the room that's covered in papers and the corkboard that we see in this dialogue. When you click, you like look through the basement window, and there's a corkboard with covered in tons of papers, documents litter the floor. And we obviously don't see that anywhere here. We see papers here, but assumingly if there was like a corkboard right here, there would have been like dialogue for it. So I think whatever this room we're looking at here is probably behind these doors. We're going to see that. And we also know that the narration says that there's a back door behind here that is blocked off by like flowers. So maybe maybe this is our entrance, since the front doesn't have double doors. So maybe this is the back door that's talking about in the narration here, and we essentially get like a flippant perspective whenever we go in, and then we go in through here.
That'd be crazy to see where they just like rotate the camera back.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like a speed racer where you do like a spin.
But yeah, again, that is what's the Dark World entrance? Because again, I think it is odd because it's like I feel like there's no easy route in, and I think that's going to be explored. And I just want to have it out there in case. Again, this whole like going behind and this being our entrance like through the back, because right, I called it. Yeah. I haven't seen anyone really talk about this because I feel like it is interesting. Because like, where are we getting in?
Yeah, no, the
front
route to
doors
take it is
updated
really
to be double doors.
Maybe, but then why change this one to be double doors?
Yeah,
you know,
right here. No, yeah, the route to get there is very
Unfortunately
weird.
for us, it seems that Toby Fox is like a evil mastermind. Brad Bro definitely had that planned somehow.
Yeah.
Definitely a weird route.
So now let's look through Asgore's junk in Flower King and just try and make out what's gonna be just like in this Dark World in general. Now, I think in the first room here, there's not really much I can make out that seems like it would be, like, important. At most, I can imagine this flower maybe being, like, a shopkeep, since he's close to, like, the register and stuff like that. I guess I also have, like, the watering can, like, the bags of, like, soil, stuff like that. Again, I can see those all in general just being kind of, like, enemies, like, just general enemies. I want to ask more participatory stuff for you guys, since it's a lot more speculation with this Chapter 5 stuff. You guys see anything in this room you can imagine being, like, Darkners and stuff?
Or like
the pen
on the table,
the staircase, the banister,
the floor tiles.
I don't know about that.
Nah, man.
I feel like Flory, Flory, the floor.
The cash register.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely see that being like an item shop. But for some reason, Toby Fox hates item shops now. He didn't give Ram one. He didn't give Gerson one. Yeah, again, I think the main room doesn't have much in general. Also, I guess I'm just noticing now, Flower King in general is yellow and pink, huh?
Damn!
Yeah. So again, I think the main thing that's going to be the Dark World is definitely going to be like this area, at least for like specific Darkners and stuff like that. Since there's a lot of very specific stuff in here, which I will say first because it's obviously the most important. The pickle jar inside of the fridge. I could definitely see that being something, maybe an MP, and I think maybe it'll be something that gets changed because we know we can put the egg in that. So this is gonna be the first time we can see the egg after we put it in somewhere after a chapter. I think the egg, there'll probably be something if you put it in here, because I feel like I imagine you have to. I don't really see much for the sink. It could be something. I feel like
the water cooler.
Yeah, you know what, you might be right. Now, I think the big thing here is the small TV that Asgore has. I think there's a likely chance that is maybe some sort of like weird sort of dilapidated like parallel to Tenna. Like we could see like maybe he'll also be like 3D, but like all like messed up and stuff
Anton.
like that. Also, it could maybe have something to do with Asgore's favorite show that got canceled. We'll get to it. We're gonna acknowledge that elephant a little bit later. Yeah, I definitely think the TV is probably gonna be something, and I think it'd be really cool if it was related to Tenna in some way.
Yeah, maybe it's the opposite. Tenna. It's like, he keeps watching me. I need a break.
His cousin.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a likelihood that the chapter in general might have a superhero theming.
I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah, now I feel like if you're just like thinking about it in general, that might not seem likely, but there's a lot of weird allusions that Asgore's had to superheroes. One, we know that on top of the small TV, there are some superhero comics. We know Asgore got those from Alphys, where Alphys in Deltarune mentions how Asgore kind of reminds her of a superhero, and I think she goes on to proceed to say he's huge and could kick my ass. It's a crazy thing to say to your student about your student's dad in front of the student, but yeah. So we know that Alphys relates Asgore to superheroes, and we know Asgore also in the Winter Alarm Clock dialogue. Asgore mentions talks about Santa Claus, and he mentions how he's a bit like a superhero, and he mentions he's like a kind man who doesn't change and stuff like that. So there's all this like seemingly like backported like allusions towards Asgore and superheroes, which I can imagine manifesting in the Dark World. Maybe Asgore like sees himself as a superhero and it's like, you know, going around doing stuff. Maybe these are a gang of lackeys. We'll get to the flowers later. But,
Flower Man.
Flash, yeah, because they do refer to him as Flower Man. I didn't even think about that. That might be his like superhero name.
The fucking like picture like Superman, like the fucking it's a flower instead of the S.
I just saw the YouTube. It's like day 28. Superman's coming to school. The next day, humiliation.
Yeah, I think that is.
Anthony, if you're right, you're gonna have to draw that like Asgore like defeated this shit.
For sure. Again, I'm definitely not the first person to see this. I've seen it like on Twitter sometimes, but I feel like it's one that in general most people don't really know about. And I wouldn't say it's super likely, but it's something that I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I feel like tobyfox doesn't choose like specific words for random reasons.
Yeah.
Like
and
somehow the most smallest things have like come back to bite in the ass like so hard.
Yeah, and I think especially because of it seems that this sort of superhero analogy with Asgore is something that he's been pushing again with this, and also just stuff outside of Deltarune. So I think that is likely. I think the only thing that contrasts with that, I feel like, I imagine it probably having a very sort of like fantasy kingdom aesthetic, considering, you know, that we know Asgore's going to have the crown and it's Flower King. And I feel like that might not mix as well if it is going to be like superhero themed. But yeah, that's all the superhero stuff. So, okay, let's talk about the flowers. Now, there's been some debate online recently about these flowers, so let's just talk about it. The flowers in the glass have the same colors as the 6 human souls from Undertale, plus Flowey's colors. Now, I think it is highly likely that these flowers, well, regardless, these flowers are definitely going to turn into Darkners of some sort. I feel like that's pretty set in stone, because why would they be there? And I think it is very, very likely that these retroactively are going to give us characterization for the 6 fallen humans, based on the fact that they are their colors. And this is something that has spurred some debate recently, where some people were saying like, oh, if you just want like fan service and it's bad writing, it would actually be bad writing for these to be the same, like have personalities that would retroactively give us personalities for the souls. But like, I just disagree, because I feel like in general the flowers are gonna have to have personalities anyway, you know. And why not? Again, why make it the same colors at this point? And I think also it seems like one of Toby's big goals with Deltarune is letting us experience things we didn't get to see in Undertale. Again, he says as much regarding Mettaton Neo here. Where again, like, you know, after creating Undertale, one of my goals with Deltarune was for the players to finally be able to challenge a real version of the Mettaton Neo that didn't just end in one turn. For that purpose, I actually created. He talks about making a few scrap tracks of Neo, and then he also talks about how he was never able to fully make one, even after the concept involved Spamton. So we know that just Mettaton Neo, in some way or some form, was going to be in Deltarune, like without Spamton's involvement, which I think is fascinating, because like, where would that have been? But I think that's super interesting. And again, we also know that this sort of idea is also replicated with another secret boss being Gerson, like getting to see him in his prime as like the Hammer of Justice that's only like alluded to in Undertale. So there's a lot of stuff in Deltarune that seem to be like, again, like not fan service, but again, like letting us see things we never got to see in Undertale. And I feel like one of those things that a lot of people say is missed potential in Undertale is never really getting to know anything about all the humans that fell before Frisk and after Kara. So I think this retroactively giving us like hints towards their personality, I just see that being very likely, and I just think that's really cool, and such a cool way of delivering that information that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And I can't really imagine anything else going on with them.
Yeah, right? It's like, yeah, like, you pick those colors, you have that amount of them, like, you don't just, like, all right, they're all going to be like mafia goons or something. Like,
Yeah.
You kind of give them the personalities you wanted to, right?
And especially because it's like such a big group of characters.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
having them be narrowed down to just again like bravery, kindness, justice, like that. I feel like it's like, and again having them like wear stuff that would like be like their weapons and stuff, like from Undertale and their equipment. Again, that's just an inherently cool idea, which
it's like really cool.
I think it's like a lot of times, like especially stuff that is kind of more fan servicey like this. A lot of people have an aversion to it. It's like, oh, Toby Fox would never write stuff like that just for a fan service for Undertale. But it's like, again, we got a full version of the Neo fight, which I think if you told people that happened in Chapter 1, would be like, that's stupid. How would that even work? They would never do that. And it's like, again, we got to see Gerson.
Yeah, literally.
Like, and again, I think,
and Gerson was crazy, bro.
yeah,
like,
it was so cool.
He's old.
And, oh, so it's like, yeah, again, so it's for this reason I feel like the flowers will be used to give us something we didn't get in Undertale. Again, that a lot of people already really wanted, which is to see what the other humans were like. I did also see some people have the idea of like, oh, each of these flowers are going to represent one of the people in Asgore's life. It's like, oh, the golden flower is going to be Asriel, and green is Noelle's color, so that's going to be Noelle.
Gabrielle.
Where's Togor?
Yeah, I think that theory again. It's like it's gonna be like Carol, like Orange's desk because of the guitar, and then Chris is blue because it's like.
Because
I feel like that, if Toby should do that, I feel like that one would be a lot harder to kind of like get across. Like you'd have to reach a lot harder for that one when you could just straight up
And again, I think it's like I don't think we need these to all be parallels to people Asgore knew in real life for that sort of idea to still work in the with like Asgore, I think even if you have that idea, it still can coexist with the idea that they're the 6 human souls. I also just want to mention here with the flowers, I could definitely imagine this also. In addition to again like giving something we've always wanted in Undertale being characterization for the 6 humans, I think it could also be a roundabout way of getting another boss fight that people have always kind of wanted, which is
sparing him.
Well, no, it's the like a lot of people have always had the idea like, oh, what if Asgore absorbed the 6 human souls like he said he was going to and fights you? So I think what could happen is this is our kind of proxy for getting the 6 human souls Asgore fight, where the final boss will maybe be like the flowers like taking over or controlling Asgore or like helping him with attacks, and then maybe each of the attacks it could reference like Photoshop Flowey, where it's like again different turns have like a different flower Darkner attacking. It's like, oh, the Justice one it like shoots the gun at you like Omega Flowey and stuff like that. So I can see that happening. I think also talking about like the fights we never got in Undertale. I think also this could be our way of getting like a solo Flowey fight, because every time we fought Flowey, it wasn't like normal Flowey. It was always like we Photoshop Flowey or like when he turned into Asriel. So I think like getting a proper fight of just like Flowey, even if it doesn't look like Flowey, that could be our proxy of getting that.
That was scary, but if we hear Flowey's theme in like chapter 4.
I think that's highly likely considering all the flowers.
Yeah, I'd be so scared, bro. I'd start screaming.
More to talk about the flowers, because this is just based on just the idea of what are these flowers gonna be. But also, some specifics about the flowers is we know that Asgore says that they are such good listeners to Sans. So we know that Asgore tells his flowers a lot of stuff, which I think then making these things alive and have personalities and can talk to, I think that we're probably going to get some pretty crazy lore drops from these flowers, because assumedly they would know literally everything, because Asgore doesn't have anyone to talk to other than flowers, And also, I think it's funny, Sans also says, yeah, nothing like a captive audience. So I could imagine, like, maybe all these are, like, trapped in, like, a cage or something, and it's, like, captive audience, and also could represent Asgore, not exactly capturing, doing more unsavory things to the 6 humans, like, killing them, but it's, like, an allusion to that, like, how it is, like, in Undertale, where it's, like, oh, capturing versus killing them. But, so I think it's likely that this could be a way for us to get, like, natural exposition about a lot of stuff that we're like curious about, like again info on Asgore's involvement with Dessa's disappearance, which we don't have hard evidence that he does have involvement, but it seems to track with everything else we know about what's going on with Asgore. Also likely stuff about him getting taken off the force, Toriel divorcing him, etc., etc. Also, I forget where we get this from. I think it's either theorized or outright said that these flowers are the wedding bouquet that Asgore gave to Toriel during their wedding, and he just keep them encased in glass because his whole idea of wanting to keep things the same and stuff like that. So I think that also could be important. I also like the idea that again getting lore drops through here, maybe through them we'll get the backstory of Chris getting adopted by the Dreamers. It could be a scene paralleling the like Undertale moment in Undertale, where we get like all the monsters tell Kara's backstory from them going in the underground, and we get a parallel to that in Deltarune, where we have the flowers telling Chris's story of getting adopted by the Dreamers. And another thing about these flowers is we actually know something seemingly about one of them, that being the blue flower. Because from Miss Mizzle, like the water cooler fight, I forget which option you pick. But but Miss Mizzle seemingly references the blue flower here because she says, the bluest flower, a disciple of my speech, shy to no camera and a specimen of elegance and kindness. Should you meet, please give my regards. So this is assumedly some sort of established like characterization of like the blue flower whenever we're going to meet them, which I think is interesting because again, it does seem we know that the blue flower Integrity was like a ballet dancer, like they had the tutu and the ballet shoes, which I think that also tracks with, you know, the elegance, kindness, shy to no camera, stuff like that. So that tracks with the characterization of this being one of the humans that fell, like the characterization. I think the only thing that throws a wrench to this is they specifically mention kindness as something about the Integrity soul. But we know that kindness is this one. The green soul is the kindness soul, and this is Integrity. So I feel like it's weird specifically using that phrasing. But again, I think the rest of this does kind of describe what we can assume of the blue human, except for the fact that they likely killed monsters because their tutu is dusty. So
the green flowers actually just smells like shit. We don't talk to that guy. He stinks.
Yeah. And then one more thing about this flower stuff. So in an old tweet, tobyfox made, I think this was again 2020. So this is before even chapter 2, I think. There was this shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it. The shirt of Ralsei being covered in like flowers and stuff that was on the Fangamer store. And then tobyfox tweets Ralsei's shirt. He's always getting mixed up with flowers, isn't he? Parentheses. That hasn't happened yet. So I think. Why did he say that? He hasn't gotten mixed up with flowers so far. So I think it is likely that maybe Ralsei is going to get mixed up with one of the flower Darkners that maybe like looks like him. I think in particular, if it's going to be one of them, I think it's likely the Flowey one.
Yeah,
whereas like considering that we know that Ralsei and Flowey already are parallel each other a lot, so you can imagine this specific flower, probably because it's Flowey, is going to look a lot like Azrael, and then by proxy look a lot like Ralsei. So I know there's ideas popping up. It's like, oh, what if like he enters your party and pretends like he's Ralsei, or then Ralsei's captured as like the Golden Prince or whatever, and then obviously then Asgore thinks that this person is Ralsei, this, that, other thing. But I think that is probably what the mixing up of flowers is, or just in general, maybe it's like to try and get into places they dress Ralsei up like one of the flower people to just like that. But I think there's no way that this tweet isn't referencing something that happened in chapter 5. So yeah, that's all with the flowers. Oh yeah, this was so I forgot. There aren't as many jokes in this presentation compared to some of the other ones. So I have a little Cocomelon break. We're gonna watch a funny video to satiate the gray matter in our brain.
It better be funny. I was gonna start crying.
I hate my fucking house and I hate my fucking job. I hate my dumbass wife and her stupid boyfriend child. I hate all other countries and I hate when people talk. What about the being home alone and jerking off?
I love Asgore.
Okay, so that's our
Intermission.
a little intermission.
That shit was funny, bro.
I love Japan.
Oh shit! I like broke everything, bro. I don't know how you're down here wearing that, bro. It's hot as fuck, bro.
It's actually light, but it is still hot.
I was like I'm here like naked, bro.
What?
Hello, Anthony.
There's a star, man. Okay, so moving on from Flower King specifically a little bit and talking about general chapter 5 stuff, we know that the festival is definitely happening the day after chapter 4. There's multiple dialogues saying this. We know explicitly Rudy says, that's right, the festival tomorrow, told Noelle I'd go support her, yada, yada, yada. So we know that, again, festival is happening the day after chapter 4, which means it is very likely that it occurs during chapter 5. Maybe there's a chance to say, oh, chapter 5 is just Flower King, and then it isn't a chapter 6 thing. But I think chapter 5 seems pretty likely for the festival.
Yeah, but in like the video when we were like speculating into things in the future, like I think I don't remember if it was me or you that said it, but it was like, you know, it's a festival. It'll probably last for a long amount of time. So like, you probably go in Flower King daytime, and then you come out and the festival's still going because you know it's a festival.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's definitely going to be some sort of Light World segment. Like how we got a big Light World segment in chapter 4. Probably either before or after Flower King, there'll probably be a big festival segment, which I think it makes more sense afterwards, but we'll get to that.
You know, we're probably gonna like, let's say the Knight does show up in like the Dark World or something, and they leave the Dark World. They're probably at the festival, and we'll probably pass by them.
It is the hot dog stand.
Yeah, we'll never know. My cousin Rory Knight.
So yeah, like I have here, like while I do think the festival seems like it might lead to something like big and crazy, like opening a Dark World outside or something like that, I think it is very likely that at the very, very least there will be a dedicated Light World segment where you explore town potentially before or after the Flower King Dark World. And we know that the festival takes place on Sunday because again we know that Saturday was church, which is chapter 4. And considering the whole newsletter next week debacle, we know that Toby Fox considers Sunday the start of the week, which does open up the possibility that in Chapter 5, Asriel might come back. Because we know Toriel says in Chapter 1, I hope it stays this way when Asriel visits next week. And again, because we know that Toby Fox thinks next week means Sunday. This is the earliest we could possibly see Asriel, and I think it is likely that maybe Asriel is coming back in town specifically for the festival. Like, I think that tracks. Also, and this is also potentially corroborated by Asgore, who has this whole thing talking, again, where he says, like, oh, he's going to have record sales, and says, oh, he's going to have enough money to where he'll be ready to serve my own snack platter to you and Azzy. Now, it is kind of vague here whether or not he's talking about specifically tomorrow or just in general will be able to do a snack platter, but the way he says it makes it seem like Asriel is going to show up at the same time as the festival. And then, more importantly than all this, Jackenstein might be there. Because we know that Jackenstein says he's banished to the Dark Zone, which is the closet, only to appear on festival night. So I think likely Jackenstein will be out in the town, and I'll be very happy.
You think we'll see Mettaton?
Well, okay, I have this here because this is an idea that came to me in a vision at some point, and I don't know if this is an idea that other people have had. They probably did, but this is a unique idea from my brain. I think what's going to happen is because we give Mettaton to Tenna, I think during the festival, Mettaton's going to walk around like this, essentially, with like the legs and arms, and the face is going to be Tenna. And that's how we get to see Mettaton like out and about during the festival. So I just want to get that out here. And then also, I don't have it on the thing here, but on this slide, we have the only things we know definitively are from Chapter 5 we've seen, which is this sprite of Burger Pants pointing. Again, seemingly wearing a suit, so probably during the festival. This reef. Actually, I don't know. We might see the reef actually above Town Hall. I need to check that. But again, this is probably also for the festival. And then this balloon, which I don't think I need to explain why the balloon might have something to do with the festival. But technically, these three sprites are the...
Why is there a balloon at the festival?
We'll cover that next class.
It's a balloon.
Balloon theory. Is it gonna be in?
It looks like.
And actually, the balloon is blue and yellow, which are the colors of Sans. Sans is gonna be the Secret Boss Chapter 5.
What's it called?
It
looks like he ate too much cotton candy. He has pink on his chin.
He had too much freedom.
Burger Pants. No, Pizza Pants. Sorry, gotta get it right.
Good naming, bro.
Asshole.
Well, no, it's a cross-universe naming.
No, you're so asshole for calling him that, bro. That's not
Burger
his name.
Pizza Pan. Well, we don't know his name. See, his name's gonna be Rory.
Yeah.
My name, Rory Knight.
My name's Pizza Pants Gaster.
I have no further comment.
Video's over.
I think it is interesting that these three are the only things we know definitively that these are going to be in Chapter 5.
Pizza Pants Gaster.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we're gonna kill Asgore in Chapter
we're gonna kill like
5.
everybody or something, bro.
So let's talk about the Weird Route. So I guess I should do some explaining in case people aren't Spam to Sweepstakes 2 pilled. If you don't watch our video where we talk about Spam to Sweepstakes 2. But in it, we got this website where we see this image where it's a 2, a 4, and a 5. And we also got a bunch of other websites where it was, I think it was Deltarune / chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they either had applicable or not applicable. And the ones that said applicable were, I believe, 2, 4, and I don't think we got 5, but we can assume 5. And these are the only ones that are visible here. So this is assumingly all the chapters that have weird routes in them. Mm-hmm. And then we also know there's an invisible 1 that's really small, and an invisible 3 that's really big, which means 3 didn't have a weird route, but it had stuff related to the weird route, which was like the whole sword mantle quest. So that's just the basic information we have here. And then we know that, again, the numbers are different sizes. And we know that, again, 2 is big because is the biggest that we've seen so far, which is because 2 is the one where we had the whole other route where we're killing people, we get a new boss fight at the end. And then 4 is relatively small because we got only, changes in dialogue and like a few extra cutscenes.
I hate it.
Yeah.
And
I think it's interesting since 4 is so small and 5 is pretty big. Not as big as Chapter 2, but significantly bigger than 4. So that means Chapter 5 is going to probably have some pretty chunky Weird Route stuff. Also, real quick, I just want to mention, Weird Route also might end in Chapter 5 due to being the last one that's on the website. We only see up to 5, which is a whole other can of worms we're going to get to at the end where it's like, oh yeah, Toby Fox doesn't want to acknowledge that 6 and 7 even exist. But again, if we take this at face value, it might mean the Weird Route might end in Chapter 5. And I feel like the main change in the Weird Route will probably be in the festival segment, which we know that we're going with Noelle for, where Carol calls at the end. She's like, oh, you're going to the festival tomorrow, aren't you? Noelle said she's really looking forward to seeing you. So we know that instead of Noelle going with Susie on the main route, Noelle's going with Chris, or us, on the Weird Route. which I think is why Chapter 5 is bigger than 4, because I think it's going to be pretty much the entire whatever stuff going on in the festival is going to be completely changed by having Noelle there. But I think it's likely maybe the changes will only be in the light world like in Chapter 4, which is why it isn't as big as Chapter 2. Because we probably won't be able to, go and snowgrave people in Chapter 5. I think it still could be, because again, 5 is still pretty big compared to 4, so I can imagine there being gameplay changes. But that my main guess is I think mainly it's going to be the festival that changes.
Do you think, there's probably like a strong likelihood that Noelle will probably be in the party, because it's like...
In Chapter 5 in general, or just in the Weird Route?
I mean, in both routes, honestly.
I think there's like, this is one thing actually, I don't have a slide for it, but I kind of want to talk about it later, just like speculating on like who we think are going to be like the guest characters in Chapter 5. I think we'll leave that to decide after this because I want to finish talking about the Weird Route stuff, but I think that is interesting. Who is even going to be in Chapter 5? Because we don't really have as good of an idea as we did with like Chapter 3, kind of.
Yeah, no, because like you see the Dark World, I assume you go with the person with you, and then you probably find Susie, which is probably Noelle, or it'll just be you and Noelle, and then Weird Route shenanigans.
I do have a part here where I say, I think maybe being with Noelle during the festival, and especially if the festival was before the Dark World instead of afterwards, I think that could be the way of getting Noelle into... I'd be scared too. Okay. I think maybe, again, if it's before, that's maybe how we get Noelle into the Dark World to do some Snowgrave shenanigans. Because I think it'd be kind of interesting if Chapter 5, normally you don't have Noelle in your party, but by taking Noelle with you to the festival, that's how we get her into the next Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just some predictions. And then also, we have one piece of music from Chapter 5, which is H.MP3. This is another thing that we got from clicking on 2, 4, and 5, and also 3, we all got little snippets of music. Where Chapter 2, we got the music that plays before you kill Birdly in the Weird Route, and then Chapter 3, we get a sound effect from the Mantle Quest, I think. I forget what we get for Chapter 4. So these are all, but it's all sound effects that are connected to the Weird Route. So assumedly, Chapter 5, and also Chapter 4 takes you to the Red Dot, which is obviously from the Weird Route of Chapter 4. So assumedly, whatever we get in Chapter 5 is going to be something related to the Weird Route in that chapter. So let's just listen to it real quick.
I don't like it.
A guitar.
Scary.
That
Okay,
shit
so
is scary, bro.
let's talk about it. So acoustic guitar. That I feel like means high likelihood some death shenanigans. I think that makes sense. But also, apparently, I'll pull. There's a good Reddit post about this. H.MP3 is apparently an acoustic remix of the Hoedown song.
This is scary.
So like listen to that part, and then over here I think sped up and messed with a bit. So yeah, assumedly, again this post was posted by I don't use Reddit.
Ragnarok
Ragnarok
1690.
69.
Thank you for finding this. Yeah, I think it seems very likely that H.MP3, the H probably stands for Hometown. And that this is probably, I think, my best guess is a remix of Hometown that plays when you're at the festival with Noelle on the Weird Route. I think that is my best guess. And it's this creepy acoustic guitar rendition of Hometown. But yeah, that's all the Weird Route stuff. So I guess before we get into the Secret Boss predictions, let's take a little interlude. Who do you guys think are going to be in this chapter? Because I think if Asgore's not in it, that would be pretty crazy. But I think, and I think it's going to be more than like how Toriel was in Chapter 3, but she didn't have as much to do. I have a very strong feeling Asgore's going to have a lot to do.
He's like the center of this one.
Yeah, and he's literally in the prophecy.
Yeah, like
I think Azrael's definitely gonna show up at the end.
Azrael.
Yeah, like
I feel like that's a big thing to end the chapter on.
Like it's either it's gonna be the end, or for some reason the beginning. In the beginning, we're gonna be screaming within the first.
He's just already in the house, like, hey,
hey, it's me, Azrael.
I think also we'll talk about this more. I think there is definitely a chance that maybe Sans tags along for this one because we know
Yeah.
Because I can imagine. I know people had this horrible idea of what if Chapter 5 starts with Sans waking us up out of bed.
Oh my god!
Could you imagine like
your mom made us pancakes? He's a secret boss.
We're gonna talk about that. But yeah, I think there's a chance Sans shows up and then maybe Toriel's like, oh, why don't you go get flowers, Mr. Bone Man, and then take Chris with you and Susie.
Please call me by my last name, Guest. Sans Guest.
Comic
Send him to
Sans,
Flower King, and instead of getting a Dark World, Asgore's just gonna blow it up, bro.
Yeah, no.
I think
No
Sans
more Chapter 5.
I think also with the comics thing, I think Alfie's could happen, but I feel like her getting a focus doesn't seem as much likely in this chapter because there's a lot of other people that could potentially be here.
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna see everyone, but like I think it's just gonna be a loaded chapter with kind of everyone. But for the Dark World, Noel is probably gonna be in that.
Starwalker.
He's gonna be there.
Yeah, I think Starwalker's
What
like.
if we get Rudy?
I think Rudy could happen, but I imagine that in next chapter Rudy's going to be kind of bedridden because we know that Rudy seems to be kind of struggling after trying to go to chapter 4, and he says like, "Oh, I gotta lock in for tomorrow for Noel," which I think means that he's not going to be able to lock in tomorrow for Noel, and I think that probably means that he's going to be more sick next chapter, if I had to guess, and not be able to do it, and then Noel gets sad, and then makes a Dark World and becomes the angel, and Yasser shows up.
Yeah, no.
And then Friend looks at the screen and says...
No, that's probably gonna be sad. I saw dialogue when I was like, "Oh, I want to see my dad." Because like, nah, bro.
No, you are going to kill people.
But yeah, I think Noel could definitely be in the chapter, but I think it's like... I was pretty confident Noel was going to be in chapter 4, considering he was going to be in the church, and that didn't happen. So I feel like I think we're definitely getting Noel in another chapter at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 5, it could be it. But again, I think there's also a lot of other stuff that's going to be balanced in chapter 5, especially with like all the Asgore stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that seems like they could be important. That could be it.
What if Azrael joins the party?
That'd be crazy.
That'd be
Bro, I'd like spray diarrhea all over the floor if that happened, bro.
I'll put down like doggy pads like next to your chair.
You're gonna need like radioactive waste to get rid of it, bro.
I think here's my take, right? And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, like Toriel being in your party in chapter like 5, or like Caddy and Jockington and stuff like that. I think I kind of have the feeling I think the only additional party member we're getting is Noelle. And I think she's only in there because of the Weird Route stuff and her being more important to the overall narrative. I kind of feel like it's unlikely we're getting anybody else in the party specifically. Unless it's maybe like some weird like flashback stuff where we see like Azrael and Des and Sham in the Dark World like years ago or whatever.
Yeah, no, what's
Chapter 0, bro.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like a little like idea because it's like what the 5 is like a bit bigger than 4, but not as big as 2. I think it's definitely gonna be one of those things where you're probably doing the Dark World stuff, and then maybe like the Weird Route and like Susie or Rouse is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
and then Susie turns around and then Megalovania's you and
we could literally die next chapter. Then
I feel like 5 is probably gonna like it's probably gonna be something like big, but like I feel like just it's smaller than 2 because obviously 2 was the start of the Weird Route. But I feel like 5 can still have some
weird shit.
very like significant, like even like gameplay segments.
I was also seeing
You just keep flipping to that tab. You really
I'm
want
so
to
excited.
I was also seeing people say like what happens like if the website updates and it's like we start like zooming out in the page.
Your
and, like,
7 is like just
yeah,
gigantic.
no, it was
bro,
like people were saying like all the numbers. It's like a gigantic 6 and it's in the middle of the 6.
shit,
And it's like that would be crazy.
yeah, I wouldn't be
I was
surprised.
gonna say,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like it would be weird also for it to end on 5. Like
I think so, but I think it might be like an early end of the prophecy, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like
You kill everyone.
I kind of imagine the Weird Route it's gonna be like specific changes, but it's gonna end up in the same way that like the prophecy would end up, you know? Like it's gonna like course correct it back to itself, even if we're like breaking off. But yeah, that's all kind of just conjecture. But I think the Weird Route is very interesting. I'm excited to see what's gonna go on in this chapter.
I'm not, bro.
kill your father.
I don't want. I hate Weird Route, bro. It makes me so sad.
We gotta play for content.
We did pay
Noel,
$25.
We paid $25. You are going to kill people.
Chris, relax. That was all you.
Calm down, Chris. We're
Chris,
your
I didn't
friends.
do that, but what the fuck?
Yo, Chris, I can't believe we did that. I can't read hashtags.
I
Okay.
can't believe you did.
All right, so let's talk about it. Secret Boss predictions. So,
Gotta wear my glasses, bro.
let's talk about this. So, I think it is likely that Chapter 5 might be the final Secret Boss. Or, at the very least, is the final one to give you a Kratos Crystal. A Shadow Crystal. Considering Sham says that there are only 2 more Shadow Crystals after Chapter 3.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. What the hell?
Yeah, it's now that you've got 3, only 2 more. We should have enough. And this is at the beginning of Chapter 4. So we know that either the last Shadow Crystal is Chapter 5, or whatever the last crystal we need to make something is from Chapter 5. I don't know if it'll be the last Secret Boss, but I think it definitely seems like the last one to give a Shadow Crystal.
Yeah, probably that.
And I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I don't think it's Asgore. Now I know this was pretty much I think like a big theory like right as the chapters came out, especially because again people saw again like oh Asgore looking at the black shard. They were like oh this is Shadow Crystal, which means Asgore's gonna be the Secret Boss in the next chapter because he has Shadow Crystal like all the other Secret Bosses. But again I think that's probably a misinterpretation because of people not widely knowing that the item that you get, the attack item after defeating the Knight, is called the Black Shard, which is explicitly what Asgore says he's looking at is the Black Shard. So I don't think there's any reason to particularly think that Asgore has a Shadow Crystal just yet. I mean, it does seem like the Dark World in general is going to have a lot to do with like freedom, considering it's the field of pink and gold and all that. So I think the general idea of freedom will be relevant with Asgore and what's going on with him, but I don't think he specifically will be whatever the secret boss is.
Yeah, I think he'll be like the big like main
Yeah.
one, but
Which,
not like
I
secret.
think even then I was kind of hesitant about that idea because like I can't imagine in a world like even if Asgore thinks he's doing what's right or like wants to show everybody where Asgore would willingly like attack like Chris and Susie.
Yeah, that'd be
Sorry,
great.
child of mine, you must die.
Yeah, but I think
must
the
die.
prophecy boss thing does kind of be kind of it's like okay, I think it does kind of seem like so I don't think it's Asgore. I feel like that's not super likely because also it's like how could he be the secret boss if it's like he's like literally like in the prophecy and like seemingly probably going to be like the monarch of whatever the Flower King is.
That must be crazy seeing like your dad in the prophecy. Like, what the fuck? That's just my dad.
What the hell?
I think also so this is a big thing that the main thing we're gonna talk about because I think it's kind of hard to make secret boss predictions like now that it's like the pattern we
it
got
like, flipped on its head
it's
so
like
bad.
now the secret bosses are the Knight or if you want to consider like Shadow Mantle Holder Eram guy and then Gerson. So it seems like the theme of it being like an item that's discarded is kind of thrown out the window a little bit again, and I think it's also just like looking at like Flower King. I don't think there's anything here that really reads super secret bossy, except for maybe one of the flowers, but I imagine them having a bigger role in the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the pickle jar is off and discarded and stuff. Or maybe just, again, something behind here that we haven't seen yet. I think that could also be it. But I think the only leads we have of the next secret boss is that Spamton mentions several elemental pairs in the Spamton Q&A, where he specifically mentions Puppet/Cat, which is his element, and then Dark/Star, which is the Knight's element. Again, so assumedly, it seems like Spamton is telling us the elemental pairs of the secret bosses. And I'll just read what Spamton has to say here. Where he talks about, you want to know about cats? One of my favorite search engine find. I'll give you some free tool tips and funny animations. Haven't you heard about elemental pairs? With a valuable item, you can defend against Puppet/Cat or Thunder/Light or Dark/Star. Just watch out for Bleep that use Death/Scythe. Never again. So this kind of gives us some room to work with when elemental pairs wise, because we know so far Thunder and Light and Death/Scythe has not been used yet. So I think let's talk about Thunder and Light first, because I think either of the two of these could potentially be what the next secret bosses like elements are. And so Thunder/Light is similar to an element that is already in the game. It's called Holy/Electric, but its only appearance is in the description of an item called the Sky Mantle. And I think it defends against Thunder/Light attacks. Which Sky Mantle, obviously the word mantle is a little loaded. Maybe this is some sort of counterpart to the Shadow Mantle. So I think it could be that Thunder/Light could be the elemental pair of the next secret boss, but I don't think there's really much more to base off of other than the fact that that might be the elemental pair. But I think there's more potential in Death/Scythe.
Yeah, that one's like serious, bro.
Yeah, which I think
Death/Scythe, bro.
Initially, and this is what I personally believe when we first saw it, is that this is probably referring to Jevil, especially since Spam says never again, because we know that they played a game or fought or something in the past. But Jevil is the Chaos/Chaos element. So he has, and it's also elemental pairs. It's like usually it's like they'll have one of the two, where it's like Thunder/Light is the element, but then a certain enemy will only have Thunder, you know. And then you have Slash and then another element where it's like let's Task Manager, for example. She's the cat element, which means she's also elemental pair of the puppet element, but she's specifically using cat, and there's also the element order. But the thing is, Spamton, it's not like, oh, he's Chaos plus Scythe or whatever. It's just Chaos and Chaos. Two different versions of them. So I think it seems likely that Death/Scythe is open to being the secret boss of Chapter 5. And I think that is notable, considering that scythes are a gardening tool. It's not traditionally a weapon, and it's a tool for harvesting crops.
No, he's kind of goofy with that.
So I think it seems likely that this could be in this chapter, since harvesting crops, like taking care of a garden, that would make sense in a a garden Dark World. And so fitting with theme. All right, let's talk about it. Is Friend gonna be the Chapter 5 secret boss?
Who's Friend?
Yo, I would leave. I'd be so scared, bro.
Wait. We're gonna talk about more about Friend in the next video, so just bear with me with the essentials of this. So,
Yo, why you got his dinglings hanging out?
Yo, he does! Yo, he got that shit swinging like a grandfather clock!
Moving like crazy frog, bro.
Oh my god!
4 of them. Damn.
Notice that shit.
All right, let's stop looking at Friend's crotch and let's start.
I can't. It's calling my name.
That's a dog, dude.
It's cat.
I know.
This guy's so dumb, bro.
I was checking.
This guy's so dumb,
I was
bro.
checking.
Okay. So
checking.
we don't need to know too much about Friend, other than the basics you probably already maybe know. Please watch our video next one. Okay. So considering the fact that it is the field of pink and gold, I think maybe Friend like lures Asgore into doing whatever like the Dark World or like making the Dark World in a similar way that Friend assumedly is whatever the tail of hell that takes crawl and lost where the forest would grow. The children followed the pointed tail. The pointed tail is probably connected to Friend since it's a cat and lured Des into the bunker and got her gassed or whatever. And just the broad strokes of whatever Friend is. If you don't know anything about Friend, this probably sounds like nonsense to you, but just bear with me. So I think, and yet also if we assume that Friend maybe has something to do with Spamton, considering the eyes and stuff like that, maybe Friend was the one talking to Spamton that made him go crazy, yada yada. I think it's interesting because I think Wandy Doodles on Twitter, like the #1 Friend poster, big shouts out to you. They mentioned that there's a lot of parallels potentially between Spamton and Asgore, particularly with them being kind of broken, hopeless, like homeless, like desperate for like a way out of the situation. They're both divorced. So I think device Friend when he sees a homeless man. But I think it could be likely that again Friend lures like kind of with Spamton, like gets Asgore to be like, oh, you want this like freedom, like you want to like improve your situation or whatever, and then Friend is in Chapter 5 in some way. It is a secret boss, particularly with the fact that we know that again, if we assume the tail of hell that led the children into where the forest would grow, bunker, whatever, is Friend, because the image of it is these dots, which is similar to the way Noel describes the Cat Pedders game, which we know Friend is a cat that came from the Cat Pedders game, maybe hatched out of egg, whatever. It's a whole nonsense. Again, we'll untangle that yarn ball in the next one. If we know, there's an image of what the point at the end of the tail looks like in the files, and it's just kind of like a normal like, triangle point, but that wasn't obviously used in the game yet. We could probably assume it does look like that, but I'm thinking, if Friend has a pointed tail, what if Friend's pointed tail is a scythe? And then Friend is assumedly death/scythe. The thing is, I think he would also probably cat element, so maybe he's like cat/scythe.
Yeah.
He's just built different.
But I think that seems kind of likely to me. I think that could happen, and I think that would also just be pretty cool. And I think, but I feel like it almost feels like Friend is too endgame to be in this one. But again, we fought a Titan in Chapter 4.
And we
So
fought
kinda-
a knight.
Yeah, literally, right? Like, so it's
Yeah.
like, well,
So-
anybody can show up with this
So it's
one,
like,
bro.
if Friend is the secret boss of Chapter 5, it's like, at this point, I'm like, sure, why not? Okay,
Okay,
and then,
I'm sure they probably
anymore.
wouldn't kill them either. So they probably escape or something.
yeah, probably. Especially if Friend has more important stuff to do, like, later on.
I still remember in Chapter 2 when we saw like Friend for the first time, we're like, oh, that was scary. Anyway,
Yeah.
little did I know.
Retroactively, I am so glad I included that slide about Friend in the first presentation, because I remember at the end of it, I was talking about like, oh, like Des and Mike and Gasser, those are all going to be important later, and I included the Friend slide because I think he's funny, and because that was pretty much the only reason I didn't think it was going to be as important, and then we got the Spanish Music stuff, and I was like, oh, Friend's going to be really important, and then we got the Chapter 3 and 4 stuff. I was like, oh, Friend might be the final boss of Deltarune. Like we don't even know at this point.
Yeah, but like just like Friend showing up during like the Shadow Quest, the Sword Route stuff.
Yeah.
There, like that shit was.
Or just
crazy.
at the beginning of Chapter 3.
Yeah, that too. It was
Yeah,
like
bro.
literally first 10 minutes and we're screaming, bro.
Yeah, bruh.
Okay, and so last year on the secret boss prediction stuff, I have Sans.
Holy.
With a bunch of I don't know. He's Pirates, Dirty Brother's brother, and Princel's brother.
So, Baby Bones, the older brother.
So there is a big subsect of people who are really rallying behind the idea of Sans being the secret boss of Chapter 5.
They just want to kick his ass.
And I kind of really like this idea, to be honest. I think it could be honest because it plays into the whole theme of, again, like the Inferno of Jealousy thing, which like that is mainly directed towards Sans. And Sans being having a Shadow Crystal, I think that could probably like track if him getting one, especially if it has something to do with Gaster. And again, I think this also pretty much comes tagged along with the idea that we're going to get a Ralsei exclusive. That's actual spoilers, sorry.
Bro, his like pants drop for that one.
That scared me.
So, this is often associated with the idea that Ralsei is going to have his own solo fight similar to Susie. Because there's a lot of similarities you can draw between Ralsei and Sans, of the whole sort of like masking stuff behind a smile and stuff like that. And it's a lot of the idea is kind of that maybe Sans teaches Ralsei to kind of like stand up for himself and not like kind of be walked over and stuff like that. There's more to this. That you probably find plenty of Reddit or Twitter thread talking about like the potential of Sans being a secret boss. And I think at the very least, I think if Sans is there, I think we might get some sort of fight with him, even if it's not a secret boss. And then also, this can also play into the whole idea of, giving stuff we always wanted in Undertale but never got, which could be I think one of probably the biggest, like, hypotheticals of what if we got a neutral run Sans fight? Or what if we got a pacifist run Sans fight? Like, what would that look like? And I think this is also, to go back to a theory I said in the first presentation, I think this is where we could potentially get the song that might play where you fight Sans. I think we can finally get the song that plays when you fight Sans. I think my only issue here is this kind of is circling back to the logic of our Chapter 3 Secret Boss predictions. Where basically all the Chapter 3 Secret Boss predictions were kind of just spammed in, but again. Like, it was like, oh, again, like, stuff like Woody, or, like, Thrown Away Flowers. A lot of it was, like, personalities that were pretty similar to Spamton, and a similar idea of, oh, this thing is discarded and thrown away that wants to, like, come back to the limelight, this, that, or the other thing. Just in general, a lot of the Chapter 3 Secret Boss takes were just Spamton, but again. And then, obviously, that got changed. We completely thrown out the window where it's like, oh, it's the Knight and E-Ram and stuff like that. Where I think this is basically people going, okay, Chapter 5 Secret Boss, what if it's Chapter 4 Secret Boss again? We had a character from Undertale who normally doesn't fight you, who fights you again in an exclusive boss with one of your party members. It's basically just Ralsei's version of the Gerson fight. So I think this is kind of like our inherent like trapping as Deltarune fans, where it's like we want to find patterns where there usually aren't.
Yeah.
Where I think it's like the Chapter 5 Secret Boss is probably doing something that we can't possibly predict, like it was with 3 and 4. But I personally do really like the idea of it being Sans, even though I don't think it's likely.
What if it's Papyrus?
That could
believe
like, and then now it's the Undertale equivalent is like, oh, the Papyrus disbelief genocide. But,
I'm not falling for that shit.
I think it's like maybe, and I could see Papyrus maybe being in this Dark World, but I think my only hesitation with that is it's just basically like, if you're gonna make a Papyrus, why not just make it Sans? Because Sans actually has stuff to do with Asgore and all the other stuff going on in the story, where Papyrus doesn't. But that's my only hiccup with
If
that.
we go to,
No, you got it.
you go first.
Okay. What's it called? I think it'll be fun with Ralsei and Sans, because since Ralsei is like very gullible and like kind of innocent, it'll be funny where like Sans tries like starts fucking around and Ralsei's like, oh okay, and everyone's kind of like annoyed with this, like what's the problem? So I think it'd be a fun interaction between the two.
I think honestly where most of the hype comes from is just the idea of Sans and Ralsei interacting. I think there's a lot you can do with that, and especially I think there's been just a lot of like mock-ups like, oh, what the dialogue could be. But yeah, and then I think one more. I think there's another Deltarune channel who posed this idea recently. I don't want to be like stealing any ideas, you know, where I saw someone bring this up, and I think that like it tracks a similar way where I'm talking a lot about like, oh, paying off stuff we never got to see in Undertale. Where I'll put the video on screen or whatever in the channel. I am blanking on the name, but they were like, what if the secret boss is Alphys? Because we know that Alphys, probably the comic book stuff and relation to Asgore and stuff like that. Maybe she goes in the Dark World, and then this is again. The parallel is, again, the one character that we actually did never get the fight in Undertale is Alphys. Like, we only fought, like, Mettaton, and, like, we never got a direct fight with Alphys, so maybe this is the way we get it. The only thing is, I feel like I have a harder time buying that specifically, because I think it's kind of a stretch Alphys being in the Dark World in general, and I think, too, I can't imagine Alphys, like, fighting, like, Chris and Susie, especially because,
They're students.
Yeah, and I think also, the way the theory posits is that Alphys is probably one of the most susceptible of, like, getting too lost in fiction and getting too invested in it, which is why she maybe fights the rest of the crew, because she doesn't want to like leave the Dark World, Where I think that does make sense, but I feel like that feels almost too much of a dedicated arc for Alphys to have in the Asgore chapter, Where I feel like that being something that goes on with Alphys, that has to be like one of the main focuses of the chapter.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds more like the main plot point.
Yeah. Whereas I think having like some sort of like silly like joke fight with Sans, where it's like it's still like a hard fight, but it's more so like him fighting like Ralsei or whoever, and it's kind of more of like a gimmicky fight. I can imagine that more, than with Alphys. But I do think it's a really cool idea, because again, that sort of like, getting like Alphys takes action and like stuff like that, getting that like finally getting to see an Alphys fight. That is very much one of those, Undertale fights we never got.
What if in like Chapter 5, like you go to Flower King, but it's like just like before like a Dark World is open, and there's just some customer in there we've never seen before, and just like, who the fuck is that guy? Then you keep seeing him throughout the Dark World, and at the very end it's like, what's your name? Oh, it's Papyrus. What?
It could happen. You never know.
Rory Knight.
No.
Do you guys have anything else to say about secret bosses?
No.
So there's one secret boss idea that I have yet to talk about yet, and he gets his own dedicated slide.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about Woody Theory 2.
Yes.
So, oh god, I'm finally talking about Woody Theory. So I wanted to mention this because this is funny. I've basically been dodging Woody Theory every single presentation we do. Like, we never ended up actually talking about it before Chapter 3 and 4. So I kind of resigned myself to being like, well, I guess we're never going to actually talk about Woody Theory. Lo and behold, let's start talking about it. So, because we never talked about Woody Theory, let's talk about the basics of it. What people thought it was going to be. So, Woody Theory is the idea that tobyfox was making a bunch of, like, Woody Toy Story shitposts on Tumblr, that was hinting towards the next secret boss. And this was in addition to him in one of the newsletters saying that the cowboy section of Chapter 3 was at risk of being canceled, saying that all of this was, canceling was actually an in-universe thing, and that all of this, the Woody shitpost, like the Friend Inside Me stuff, and the canceled cowboy segment was all foreshadowing for the secret boss being a pastiche of Woody from a canceled cowboy show. So that is the basics of Woody Theory. And Woody Theory entirely hinged on the idea that Chapter 3 was going to be a TV Dark World. And that, again, it's like, oh, it's a canceled TV show. That's why it's the Dark World of this chapter. So despite the fact that we now have Chapter 3 and Woody Theory was wrong, it somehow has even more evidence than it did before. Somehow Woody Theory not only survived Chapter 3 happening, but it's got even more evidence. It's stupid. So let's talk about this. Tenna makes explicit mention in this scene where you go to the game board before you start one of the boards, where he makes explicit mention of the cowboy show Asgore used to watch with Chris. He makes explicit mention that we still have that cowboy program, the one that your dad likes, Asgore. And again, Bruce is like, you bouncing you on your knee while you both watched it, like whatever happened to that, this, that, the other thing. And then also in the scrapped third board in Chapter 3, I don't know if you guys know about this, the third board, you know, in the Sword Quest where we have like the like city area,
yeah,
there was supposed to be a normal Legend of Tenna equivalent of that, and it's fully programmed in the game. You can just like play it.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and one of them, for one of the quiz questions, we have this scrapped question where it says, Chris, which show was Asgore's favorite? And it's cooking show, nasty music videos, monster movies, or cowboy show? And cowboy show is the correct answer. And then a follow-up question, now when does Asgore's favorite cowboy puppet show air? And then all the answers were, it was canceled. And it's like, it was canceled? You gotta be kidding me. I think he says he invested everything in puppets. He's gay for Spampton, yada yada. But I think it is very notable that not only does both in-cut content and in the game officially, they mentioned the cowboy show, they mentioned specifically that it was Asgore's favorite. Which, considering a lot of the stuff in Chapter 3 and 4 with Asgore seem to be setting up the stuff that's going to be happening in the next Dark World, I think it's notable, especially considering, assumingly, this is where we were going to get the information about Asgore liking the cowboy show. But that gets cut. But they still make sure to keep in this line, which I could assume maybe happens after they cut this, just to make sure they establish that the cowboy show was Asgore's favorite. And then we also, like we talked about before, Asgore has a TV in his room. So, meaning that there is precedent for a TV show, like, themed character to show up, which could be, again, maybe he has, like, the VHSs of the old cowboy show lying around. And this is how we finally get Woody Theory. And it becomes real. And I think it's also notable to mention that in the beginning, when Tenna is doing his, intro to TV time, he's showing all the, like, wild prizes, like, you saw the gumball machine, get the jump scare by that. He mentions floral cowboy bath curtains, which, mentioning the cowboy, it's already in the chapter, but I think it's pretty crazy that he specifically mentions floral.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was thinking about this. Dude, flowers don't have anything to do with cowboys. Like, why would it be a floral cowboy curtain if it doesn't have something to do with the Dark World, And the flowers being related to Asgore and the cowboy also being related to Asgore. Mm-hmm. And then maybe all this could also just be lead up to the yellow flower, which is representative of the Justice Soul, which had the cowboy hat and the gun and stuff like that. So this could be foreshadowing for that. But I think with all this together, I think there's a very solid chance that Woody Theory is just true. Maybe it's not Secret Boss, maybe it's just a character in it. But, like, what do you guys think about this? Because, like, I think especially the floral bath curtain, because, like, why make it floral if it's not going to have something to do with the flowers and stuff like that? But what do you guys think?
It's a red herring, bro.
No, I think Toby Fox will definitely include some type of cowboy character. Or at least mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait. That's just the third board right there? It's just these two questions? Or is it...
No, there's the whole board.
Holy fuck.
I think there's like interactions, like dialogue and stuff like that. I think it is pretty fully featured. Like, it's pretty much like done.
Mm-hmm.
So
why do you think it was cut?
I think probably just for pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a third board, I would have been going to sleep, bro.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of getting tired of the little.
I think it works the way it is in the chapter, but I think if there's a whole nother board afterwards, I think, and you can kind of feel that there was something cut. Like, a lot of Chapter 3 seemed to be, like, kind of mixed around and, like, stuff cutting. Like, So, but yeah, there is just, like, a fully featured third board. And I think it's probably worth looking into just, like, on your own time, because it seems pretty neat. I haven't looked through all of it, but again, this is the biggest one. Mm-hmm. But that's that. I think that's all the secret bosses we have. Do you guys have any last-minute ideas of what a secret boss could be for Flower King? Me?
You're going into the game, buddy.
Alright, if Anthony Brick shows up, I'm gonna
That'd be fucking
shit
crazy.
a brick.
Guys, you heard it here.
Okay, well, let's keep moving forward. Okay, so now let's talk about the music that may potentially be in Chapter 5 and also future chapters, but we'll get to that. So, the Bibliox enemy, the one that's like the wizard guy, the one in that creepy segment in the egg room, Chapter 3 or whatever, has this attack where you're given a bunch of different misspellings of a word, and you have to find the correct spelling. And all of these names so far are songs in the soundtrack, where we have like all of the options are here, and we have Gallery, which plays in Chapter 1 when you're about to fight King, like in front of the fountain. I think when he's grabbing Lancer. We have Flashback, which obviously played in Chapter 2 whenever you're doing the Weird Route stuff with Noelle, like in the Light World. Sword, obviously played on the Sword Route in like the Mantle Quest in Chapter 3. And then Guardian and Atrium are both songs from Chapter 4. So all of these songs are from the chapter so far, which leaves 4 songs unaccounted for, which could potentially be in future chapters. And I think it is very likely that all these ones that we've got teased so far are for Chapter 5. So the first name we have here that we don't know yet is Roots. Now there is a song called Bit Roots and Digital Roots in Spanton's Basement, and I think something in the Mantle game. But there's no song just called Roots in all caps so far. And potentially this could also be related to the Roots prophecy that we see in the Egg Room. I think we'll probably get more elaboration on that in Chapter 5. And probably related to Dessa's disappearance and all that. And I think likely there's going to be something in Chapter 5 considering the name has its roots. It's like plants imagery.
Yeah.
So I can imagine there's going to be a song on the OST called Roots. And then Festival, almost definitely in Chapter 5 and related to the festival itself.
It's settled?
It's Sal.
Oh my
Oh my
god!
bro. What the hell, bro?
Do you want to be the new Mr. Brick? I'm clearly not cut out for it.
I'm just honored.
Well, too bad. Guys, everybody point and laugh at him. Point and laugh at him. I think there'll probably be a song called Festival that plays during the festival. I think probably my hottest take of the video so far.
You're
You're
stupid, bro.
fucking stupid, bro.
Okay,
Why'd you say
song
that?
called Synthesis. More plant imagery. Probably a song in Chapter 5.
Mhm.
And then the last one here that's a little bit harder to pin down is there's a song called Amphitheater. I remember I think I saw like a Reddit post or something, or it was like Twitter, being like, oh, Amphitheater, this is a name that we don't know. What if that's the name of the Forgotten Man? And I think that's because people didn't know an amphitheater is just a real thing.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
That looks like they've been made by like an actual like 10-year-old or something. There's no way.
So I think an amphitheater is like this. It's like a big like theater, and in the middle, it's like I forget. It's some like black magic or whatever, where like it's able to amplify like the voice without like a microphone or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cool actually. But so maybe I think there's maybe a theater like an amphitheater in hometown for like a festival or something for the festival.
Yeah.
I think also maybe there's one in the Dark World, and he gives like a speech at one.
Yeah, I was gonna say there might be just be an amphitheater in like the
Flower King Dark World.
yeah
Sure, if he is a king.
yeah exactly. That's what I was
that does make
thinking.
sense. And then also maybe this could have something to do with like gallery, because also we know that gallery is like it's both gallery like a gallery is obviously like you're looking at pictures and stuff like that, but also there's an alternate definition of gallery, which I think is like like at like essentially nosebleed seats in like a theater.
Yeah.
I think that's called like gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Like where the Muppets stand up and the old guys like say mean things.
Yeah.
Kojima, there's Kojima, look.
The thing they said about Final Fantasy made me laugh so hard, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's my best guess for Amphitheater. I still think probably Chapter 5, especially since tobyfox doesn't want to acknowledge Chapter 6 and 7 exists. And then we also know definitively Chapter 5 will have H.MP3, which is the acoustic guitar Weird Route Hometown remix. So that's just another song we know for Chapter 5. And I figure we'll just go through this, because if we're talking about Chapter 5, this is stuff we definitively know will be in Chapter 5.
Yeah.
Like, we will have songs that have these names. And then this is not specifically for Chapter 5, but we know sometime in the future, if we're talking about future music, there is an unused Lost Girl arrangement. So let's take a listen to this real quick. It's on
Oh, censor, bro.
Grok.
tobyfox made this tweet when he was first, like, this is the first time we saw Noelle's Dark World design, actually. And it was a tweet in 2019, so it's before Chapter 2, and it's called Lost Girl Noelle. And this
Of course, bro. It's always like the 2019.
Yeah,
fucking-
Yeah. And it's just like the normal Lost Girl arrangement that we heard in Chapter 2. And then tobyfox, of course, that's not the only version of the song. Lots and lots of things happen. I just hope you can be friends with everybody someday. And then we hear this arrangement of Lost Girl. Just skip think in the background here, if I'm not mistaken, you can hear part of Susie's theme, like in the section, whatever. But yeah, that's just like the broad strokes of this. So this is this arrangement has so far not been used anywhere in Deltarune so far. So assumedly, unless this got cut, that is something that we'll hear in the future chapters. I think it could happen in Chapter 5. Maybe, especially if that is Susie's theme, maybe this is the music that plays during Noelle and Susie's date on the main path. I can think that could definitely happen. But that's just another confirmed song from Deltarune that we'll probably hear. And then the last one we hear is have Last Prophecy and 7-4. Now these are songs in Chris's piano medley that are not related to any songs we've heard so far. Well, it kind of is, but we'll get to this. So basically, as you guys all probably remember, Chris has this medley of it's 7 minutes worth, or 8 minutes, of different songs they can play on the piano. And they have it here, so we have like Lancer Waltz, which is just like a piano version of like Lancer's theme, quiz song, like from Chapter 3. And all of these have equivalents to songs in the game so far, except for 2. And I'm going to, well, again, there's a bit of an asterisk there. But the one that we have no association for so far is 7-4. So let's listen to this. And I think it just repeats like that for a little bit, but yeah. This is a song, and this has no like motivic identity anywhere else in Deltarune so far. So this is assumedly a just completely new song that we'll probably hear in the future, considering all the rest of the songs are songs you've heard so far.
Yeah.
What the song is, I have no idea. I've heard some people.
The Shelter theme.
It sounds a little too happy for that. I can imagine.
The real version's not gonna sound like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be like evil.
I think just based on how cheery it is, I can imagine it being something for the festival. Also, I don't know what the name 7-4 could really mean.
7-4, that's his number on her jersey.
Man, now her number is 100% going to be like 25. Man. You know that. I saw people say maybe this is like Chris's theme. Like if we ever hear like a theme for Chris down the road, I can see that happening. It does also still sound a little too happy for Chris, but you know, them's the breaks. But then also we have a song called Last Prophecy.
Uh-oh.
So I'm just going to talk over this one. So the thing, I said these two songs have no connection to other songs compared to the other ones, which isn't true for this. This is technically, it turns into a remix of, it'll play in a second, but of Castletown. It is a remix of that, but I think there's reason to believe that this isn't specifically supposed to be the Castletown, just the version of Castletown for Chris's medley, considering the fact that it's called Last Prophecy. I think, like some people have said, this might be, also this is where Castletown comes in, I think this might be our first like Chapter 7 crumbs. Which I think, especially considering the Angel Prophecy, when you remove like the black bars like covering it, like when you look at it, it looks like the player town. So I think the Last Prophecy having something to do with Castletown in some way seems likely, and I think this is probably an arrangement of Castletown that'll probably play near the end of the game. So it's just another future song. But yeah, so that's Last Prophecy. Again, I think that's crazy. The pretty much only Chapter 7 crumbs we have. Okay, and speaking of which,
Holy shit.
That's, I think, it for Chapter 5, for all the information we have. And so, like I said, I do want this to be a overall just the future of Deltarune, like everything we know about the future chapters. But that's hard, because we have essentially nothing on Chapter 6 and 7. They've been very, very secretive of this, to the point where they haven't even acknowledged it. We'll get to that. So the only piece of information we have, we get about post-Chapter 5, is through Gerson dialogue that's likely referring to Chapter 6. Again, after he says the Chapter 5, part of Lord of the Hammer, he says, what happens next? There was only one more chapter after that. After that, it all stopped, and then he goes on to talk about how it's like, oh, the youth, the people were supposed to pick up the pen, they never did. Some say the author like fell into his own creation, whatever. Had Gerson Gaster parallels. I don't know what to make of those just yet. But so yeah, that is basically our only crumbs to anything that happens post Chapter 5. So I think that the next, he says that there's only one chapter after Chapter 5. So it's assumedly referring to Chapter 6. And I think Chapter 6 is assumedly, that means probably where the prophecy of Deltarune is supposed to end. Like whatever the last prophecy is, it's supposed to happen in Chapter 6, and then maybe Chapter 7 happens and we subvert it, this, that, the other thing. But I think we know that Chapter 6 is the last chapter of Lord of the Hammer. And that's all the information we have. And I just want to mention, again, talking about this, Toby Fox across like everything has never even once referred to the existence of Chapter 6 and 7 in any way beyond the fact of them just being on the chapter select screen. So yeah, no tweets, no newsletters, nothing about Chapter 6, not a peep out of Toby Fox, which is pretty odd to me. And again, all the stuff of like, again, the Weird Route pages on chapter, for the chapters only go up to Chapter 5. Sham says that there's only Shadow Crystals up to Chapter 5. So I think it is setting up this idea that whatever Chapter 5 or Chapter 6 is supposed to be the ending. So the only other content that could potentially be from Chapter 6 and 7 are the songs we just mentioned, being 7-4 and Last Prophecy, assuming they aren't in Chapter 5. And also, from the post we saw of Toby Fox talking about, I hope you can be friends with everybody someday, and the new Oscar melody are these sprites of Susie, where her hair is kind of different than it usually is. Now, are these just scrap sprites? Maybe. But all the other sprites that we saw in that sheet have been used so far, so I have a feeling that these will probably be in future chapters. I don't think 6 and 7. I think the most likely thing is maybe this is on the festival, and she like moves her hair a little bit more out of her face. Yeah. She's going on a date. But yeah, this is our. We can hold on and hope maybe this is Chapter 7 crumbs, but I don't think it's likely. But this is one of the only things we know about the future. And then you could also argue the other prophecies we've got that yet to come true, like the Angel Prophecy or the Tale of Hell and the Jockington 2. Why not? That could also be. But that's mostly just foreshadowing for the next chapters instead of what a lot of the other stuff we talked about is just like concrete stuff. We know this stuff will be in the next chapters. Again, I just think it's weird that Toby's never referred to the chapters 6, 7 like at all. Like if there wasn't the chapter select there'd be no reason to believe that Chapter 5, that these chapters are even real and that it doesn't just end at Chapter 5. Again, especially because Weird Route seemed to end there and it seems to have like the last Shadow Crystal. I have here, I think it will, again, like kind of play into the idea that I've been saying that the story will like end at Chapter 5 / most likely like 6 based on what Gerson says. And then, and by like subverting it and changing fate or whatever, we're like making a new ending that's like not intended in the prophecy. Again, kind of like how we make the Weird Route, even though obviously that, like how the Weird Route is coded into the game, but it's made to seem like an exploit or something like going haywire within the game, even though it's coded in. I think Chapter 7 will be like the equivalent of that on the normal route, where it's like, oh, this is something that's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen in the game, but it's obviously still coded in there. Cause like, you can't like code something to not happen. It's like in the narrative, it's something that's not supposed to exist, But again, that's all I have for Chapter 6 and 7. Do you guys have any predictions, ideas, anything about the 6 and 7? Because I kind of wanted to have more just discussing it here because there's not really much concrete stuff to go off.
I think either something crazy is going to happen in Chapter 5 where it doesn't even seem like a Chapter 6 should happen, bro. Or like there's just genuinely nothing to say about it because he hasn't started.
There isn't anything to go off.
I think it's like there's definitely Toby at least has like knows what's going to happen in 6 and 7. Where it's like, and it's like we also know that I think he's composed all the music for the game already, or like there's at least the versions of all the songs are done by now. So I think like even if it was just a tease like music or stuff, he could do that and he doesn't. So I think there has to be a specific reason that 6 and 7 aren't acknowledged. And I think it's for the same reason that the Weird Route doesn't really... Actually, you can't even say that because the Spanish sweepstakes acknowledge the Weird Route. So I think it's just like Toby Fox is just deliberately being secretive of 6 and 7, either just to keep no spoilers whatsoever and that it's just like too crazy to where they can't even show anything without it being like a massive spoiler, or it's just like an in-universe thing where it's like 6 and 7 aren't supposed to happen, which is why they're not shown off in any of the material. I think just talking also just broadly about 6 and 7, if we're just going purely off conjecture, if we're talking like, oh, where are the next Dark Worlds going to be? If I had to guess, I would say 6 is maybe the Shelter? Maybe? Because I think my only inkling of that is just that Shelter's related to Gaster and Gaster's number 6.
Oh my God.
And I think it's like, if that were to happen, like here's just the vague idea that's in my head that would play out. I think what would happen is okay. Here's Mr. Brick's Deltarune fan fiction, right? Chapter 5 happens, we go to Flower King at the beginning, then we leave we leave Asgore's corpse or whatever inside the festival or whatever. Then we go to the festival afterwards. You go with Susie goes with Noelle on the normal route. You go with Noelle on the weird route. And then you have your lighthearted fun or whatever. And then at some point, something's going to happen. Maybe it's, again, someone makes like a Dark World outside or something during the festival. That'll be like the stinger at the end of Chapter 5. And then why Chapter 6 at the Shelter is that, okay, a Dark World's happening. Something's going on. We need to evacuate everybody. It's like, where would you evacuate everybody to? The Shelter. Yeah. And then the whole thing with Alfie's coming true is like, oh, even if something bad were to happen, maybe whatever's in there is even worse. and then this is how we get maybe a lot of the characters that we normally wouldn't see in a Dark World, where it's like everybody just kind of runs into the shelter. Or maybe even if we don't want to get all these characters in it, maybe a few characters start like running towards it, and then it's like Chris and Susie try and go in first so they can shut the door behind people, so more people don't get into the bunker. This is just conjecture at this point, but I think it makes sense if something crazy is going to happen at the festival, considering the build-up, and then I imagine if it's something crazy happening, that could lead to them wanting to evacuate the town, which would then lead to the shelter.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I definitely think something at the end of chapter 5 is gonna like go crazy, bro.
Like, it's probably like, it's gonna be like the worst cliffhanger yet, bro. Like, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, like people are gonna die and shit, bro.
I definitely do think Azrael's the cliffhanger does kind of make sense, but I couldn't imagine having to wait after that. Like, imagine like Azrael shows up, he goes howdy, and then that's the end of the chapter.
Oh, I start crying.
Yeah. Dude, also that'd be especially crazy if a bunch of the other like in chapters. I guarantee like every character's gonna say howdy in the chapter 5 Dark World, considering Asgore says it. The flowers are probably gonna say it because of flowy stuff.
And
So
Azrael.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
But
crazy.
yeah, I think do you guys and then chapter 7, I don't know, the whole town's a Dark World. I feel like
Yeah, no.
bro.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it in like the video where we're doing the secret bosses, but yeah, like it seems like almost probably like on the nose for that. Like, yeah, like 6 might be like, you know, they go into the shelter and then it's just like, what the hell do we do, bro? Like,
Yeah.
they try, but they probably like fail to, you know, stop the roaring and whatever, and then the roaring just fucking, everybody's dead, everything's gone, and then 7 somehow allows us to fucking like turn
Somehow
back.
WD gas to
Yeah,
return.
literally, bro. He shows
That'd
up.
be crazy.
I don't know. Maybe he like gives us the means to like turn back fate, and then
Yeah.
that gives us chapter 7 where we're actually able to like do something.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if we see like maybe at the end of chapter 5 we have to go to shelter, but then we see Undone like all types of fires. Like, bro, do we want to go in that shelter?
See me like the Wolverine picture with
Yeah.
the
The Undyne subplot.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
There's so much shit. Like Susie's like has death flags. Like Undyne's AWOL, bro. Like there's so
Yeah.
much shit that could happen in chapter 5.
Like it's just really, it's so hard to even think of like what could 6 and 7 even be. Because like, especially now that 3 and 4 have just so broken the idea that there's gonna be any sort of pattern, we're gonna be able to predict anything. Where it's like, I mean, if we're already fighting Titans in chapter 4, it's like, what is the chapter 7
like,
final boss gonna be?
You know, now I'm just remembering it because you were saying like Toby Fox like considers like Sunday to be like next week. Cop sacrifice next week. Wouldn't that be
That would be Sunday.
now? Like, I just thought that like just like beamed into my head. I was like,
That's a really good catch, actually.
yeah. I was like, wait, that would probably be today then, like, right? Like,
Yeah. Huh. She's not gonna have a good festival day.
Cop sacrifice.
well, the day's not gonna fully end. We're gonna go to the shelter and we'll probably find her.
Yeah.
But yeah, that literally like just beamed into my head. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
Sunday, first day of the week. Cobb sacrifice next week.
So yeah, that's
Yeah, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, I'll get out of here, bro.
unless you guys have any other ideas and stuff you have for 6 and 7, anything.
No one has any
I don't have
ideas.
anything.
So that is the end of the Deltarune, the future of Deltarune chapters 5, 6, and 7 presentation. That's pretty much, I think, literally everything we know or can possibly theorize about the next chapters. But again, we did a lot of Asgore talking this presentation, and there's a big elephant in the room regarding Asgore and some funny jokes regarding them, and we've all been very good and not made any reference towards them. So as a little prize at the end, because again there weren't as many jokes in this presentation, let's just watch it.
Yeah.
Let's just all celebrate together with the video.
Is Bergen short?
Turn this up.
Bro, fingers in his ass, man.
Not this
When
time.
you're dueling with the night and you can't survive the fight, cause the shadow man's might fades too rapidly. I've an engine that still runs, roaring night, I'll get her done with the force to crush your rising star. Don't forget, I'll hit you with my car.
I love that part.
It gets me every time, man. Yeah. Wait.
When you're dueling
No.
Encore.
You. Wait, it should have been like red.
You can come here anytime. But yeah, that is the end of the presentation. I hope you guys all enjoyed. What's your what do you hope happens in chapter 5? That we talked about today.
We don't torture Noel in the weird route.
Oh,
I hope we
you're
do.
good
I
at
hope
that
we
one.
do that shit.
I hope Noel like kills us or something, bro.
I hope we like horribly like disfigure Noelle and she's like some fucked up monstrosity by the
It's
end
like
of the fucking
Two-Face.
chapter.
Oh shit.
But with ice
She's just
instead.
looking like something crazy, bruh. Turn her into a gift shop, bruh.
I just hoping the Noel's happy.
I hope we find
That's
out
not die,
that
bruh.
her brother Chester is in fact the knight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm pushing for. I'm no longer a Death Knight believer. I'm all Chester Knight.
Just a night.
I'm all
so-
in on Chester Knight.
Really crazy. If no, it's like,
Always bet on Chester Knight. Yeah, I think that's all we have for presentation, but that's not it for the video because we gotta say our thanks
Oh
to
my
some
God.
people. Patreon.
the P stream.
I'm gonna unplug this so no one sees that their email addresses.
Show all the email addresses.
So yeah, we still have to do our Patreon shoutouts. Again, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you have the money or have the ability to feel so inclined, subscribe to our Patreon. We post bonus videos.
Hello, citizens. This is Flower Man here to tell you that if you'd like to gain access to the entire presentation that we've went over today in full, you could do so by subscribing to the Patreon.
Early stuff, whole bunch of funny stuff. Do you want to watch us play Fortnite? Watch us play Mario Kart for like another hour and a half. It's all there.
You're part of
And-
Electoral College.
Yeah, you get a higher value vote
Oh my god.
in it's an electoral college. It's,
You are worth more than the others.
I mean, when you literally pay for it, you are literally worth more than the others.
exactly. And also you get another added benefit of getting your name on screen here. And if you pay I think $5 or above, you get get your names read out by me, Mr. Brick.
Wait, what if Jacob reads the names?
You want to read the names this time?
Sure.
Do your best, Jacob.
It's just reading, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you could add your own
Because Posh
flavor
is
to it.
crazy and get it on video.
You got two cameras.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, I'm scared.
No pressure, no pressure.
so in the honor student tier, which is the $5 tier, Jacob, who are our patrons?
We got Toby Tricky Fox, Dick Chocolate, Chaos Beam, Semantic Pedantic, Riley Swab, Spicy Bloke, Cat on Mars, Gianluca Bellard. I'm sorry, Bellard Dinelli.
You did better than Kevin. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he messed it up both in that recording event and also the recording we did on Zoom like afterward. It's Gianluca Bellardinelli, I believe so, if I'm remembering correct.
And then we have Admin Access, Rocco, and Dusty Plush.
Now we have the $10 overachiever tier.
Okay, we got Blenderfucker
The goat.
underscore Rat Avenue and Culta Cola.
And now we have, for the first time in history, someone in the overachiever plus tier, which is the Spampton tier, $19.97.
You gotta make this one.
Tell me that name right there.
Jesus.
And they get a peepus next to their name. Doesn't the money feel? Actually, they commented on the Tenna interview short, and there's like, this is the kind of content I'm making. I'm spending $20 for. Like, keep this up. And then I believe that just leaves the two absolute mad lads in the $50 teacher's pet tier. We have two people in it right now for $50. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough. That is insane. But
I think you can.
well, I think you'll thank them enough because Josh, what are the names of the two people in that tier?
Isaac and Sadler!
Ugh. Okay, thank you so much, Jacob, for reading all those lovely patron names.
You did
And,
great, man.
No, I didn't.
You did better than Kevin. And so yeah, I think unless you guys have anything to say, I think that is it for the video. One of these days, I'll figure out how to end a video. Someone make. All right,
You started.
hold the
with
note.
What?
Hold the note.
Hold a note?
Yeah.
Like
hold-
just sing?
Just
Yeah.
hold a note.
Ah.